Will you marry me?
Yes.
I don't like this poor kid. Let's go back home.
There are some tests that money cannot help you pass. A person can wear gold on the outside and still carry stone in the heart. A person can smile in public, speak softly in front of important people, and still become cruel the moment they stand before someone who has nothing to give them back. That was the lesson Chief Daniel Okafor learned 3 weeks before his wedding. In the city of Lagos, people called him a blessed man. They called him a billionaire. They called him the man whose company built roads, hotels, estates, farms, and schools across Nigeria. When his black convoy passed through Victoria Island, security men saluted. When he entered a hall, important men stood up. His name opened doors that were locked to other people. But Daniel knew something most people had forgotten. He was not born into wealth. Before the suits, before the private meetings, before the luxury cars, there had been hunger. There had been nights when rain entered through the roof and soaked his sleeping mat. There had been days when he walked 10 kilometers to school because his mother could not afford transport. There had been one terrible year when he almost died in a village far from home, and a poor family with nothing but kindness pulled him back from the grave. That family was the reason Daniel never looked down on the poor. So when he got engaged to a beautiful woman named Vanessa Adebayo, he wanted to believe she would understand the kind of life he valued. Vanessa was stunning. When she entered a room, people turned. She had smooth skin, expensive taste, a smile that looked perfect in photographs, and a voice that could sound as sweet as honey when she wanted something. She knew how to greet elders. She knew how to speak English with confidence. She knew how to sit beside Daniel at events and make everyone whisper, "Chief Daniel has chosen well." But there was one thing Daniel was not sure about. He did not know if Vanessa had a heart. At first he pushed the thought away. Love can make even wise men blind. Daniel was 42, successful, respected, and lonely in ways that money could not fix. Vanessa made him laugh. She called him my king. She wore his ring proudly. She planned their wedding like a queen preparing for a coronation. She talked about the flowers, the hall, the famous musicians, the designer gowns, and the imported decorations. But whenever Daniel mentioned charity, Vanessa's eyes became tired. Whenever poor people came close to their car at traffic, she closed the window and frowned. Whenever Daniel stopped to greet old workers, cleaners, gardeners, and drivers, Vanessa smiled only until nobody important was looking. One evening, Daniel saw something that planted a thorn in his spirit. They were leaving a charity dinner at a 5-star hotel. The night was cool. The car was waiting outside. A young waitress accidentally dropped a tray near Vanessa. The plates did not touch her dress, but a little sauce splashed on the floor beside her shoe. The waitress bent down quickly. "Madam, I am sorry. Please forgive me." Vanessa looked around first. She checked whether the photographers had gone. Then her face changed. "Are you blind?" she whispered sharply. "Do you know how much this shoe costs? Your 1 year's salary cannot buy the buckle." The girl trembled. "Madam, I am sorry." Daniel stepped closer, but Vanessa did not notice him at first. "People like you should remain in the kitchen," Vanessa said. "You come near decent people and spoil everything." The words struck Daniel harder than he expected. The waitress was no older than 20. Her eyes filled with tears, but she kept her head bowed. Daniel walked forward and said calmly, "Vanessa?" Vanessa turned. In 1 second, her face softened. "Oh, darling. I was just telling her to be careful. You know these hotel workers can be careless." Daniel looked at the waitress. "What is your name?" "Blessing, sir." "Blessing, do not cry. Accidents happen. Please send the cleaning bill to my office if there is any issue." The girl nodded, still shaking. Inside the car, Vanessa laughed as if nothing had happened. "Daniel, you are too soft. That is why everyone takes advantage of you. Poor people know how to act helpless. Give them small sympathy and tomorrow they will climb on your head." Daniel did not answer. As the car moved through the bright city, he stared out the window and remembered a different road many years ago. A muddy village road. A road where nobody knew his name. A road where a poor woman carried him on her back when fever had almost taken his life. That night Daniel could not sleep. He walked through his mansion like a man searching for something he had lost. The house had marble floors, tall glass walls, imported furniture, and a swimming pool that reflected the moonlight. But the silence inside was heavy. His late mother's portrait hung in the hallway. She had been a trader, a woman who sold vegetables at the market until her hands became rough. She used to tell him, "My son, when God lifts you, do not forget the ground that carried you when you were low." Daniel stood before the portrait for a long time. "Mama," he whispered, "how do I know the woman I am about to marry?" The old housekeeper, Auntie Beezy, found him there around midnight. She had worked for Daniel for 12 years and was old enough to speak truth without fear. "Chief, you have not slept?" Daniel sighed. "Auntie Beezy, have you ever looked at someone you love and wondered if you know them at all?" The woman folded her hands. "Love is not only what people say when the lights are bright. Love is what they do when nobody can reward them." Daniel turned slowly. Auntie Beezy continued, "If you want to know a proud person, do not take them to the palace. Take them to the poor. Their face will change there." Those words stayed with Daniel. By morning he had made a decision. Before he married Vanessa, he would take her somewhere no photographer would follow. Not to a luxury resort. Not to a family mansion. Not to a dinner with governors and senators. He would take her to the village of Umuod, to the home of Mama Nena, the poor widow who had saved his life when he was a nobody. And there he would see Vanessa's heart. Umuod was a small village in the eastern part of Nigeria, tucked between red earth roads, palm trees, cassava farms, and the kind of quiet that city people often mistake for emptiness. But to Daniel, that village was sacred ground. Many years before, when he was 21 and still struggling, he had traveled through the area looking for a distant uncle who promised to help him find work. The uncle was not home. Daniel had no money left. On his way back, robbers attacked the old bus he entered. People ran into the bush. Daniel ran too, but fever, hunger, and fear caught him like a rope around the neck. He collapsed near a stream. If Mama Nena had not found him, he would have died there. She was poor even then. Her husband had died. She had 3 children. Her roof leaked. Her kitchen was a small hut with smoke-darkened walls. But when she found the young stranger lying by the stream, she did not ask what tribe he was. She did not ask whether he could repay her. She called her children, and together they carried him home. For 6 days, Daniel lay on their mat with malaria burning inside him. Mama Nena sold 2 baskets of cassava to buy medicine. Her daughter, Amaka, fanned him through the night. Her son, Emeka, walked to the next town to call a nurse. Her youngest child, little Chisholm, gave Daniel water with both hands and smiled as if he was not a burden. When Daniel recovered, he wept because he had nothing to give them. Mama Nena told him, "My son, if God allows you to rise, use your hand to lift another person. That will be our payment." Daniel never forgot. Years later, when his first business succeeded, he returned to the village. He repaired the roof. He paid school fees. He bought medicines. He sent food quietly. But Mama Nena refused to leave the village. "This is where my husband's bones are," she told him. "This is where God planted me. Build your big houses in the city, my son. I will remain where my prayers can find you." Daniel respected her choice. He visited when he could, but he never turned their relationship into a public display. To him, Mama Nena was not a charity project. She was family. 2 days after Daniel made his decision, he invited Vanessa to lunch at his office. His office was on the top floor of a glass building high above the city. Vanessa arrived wearing a cream dress, dark glasses, and a perfume that announced her before she entered the room. "My husband-to-be," she said, smiling as she kissed his cheek. "You look serious. Is anything wrong?" Daniel gestured for her to sit. "Nothing is wrong. I want us to visit someone this Saturday." "Who?" "A family in the village. They helped me when I was young. Before the wedding, I want you to meet them." Vanessa's smile froze for half a second. "Village? This Saturday?" "Daniel, my makeup trial is this Saturday." And I have a fitting. We will go early. It is important to me. She leaned back. Are they relatives? Not by blood. But by sacrifice, yes. Vanessa tapped her nails on the table. Why can't they come here? We can host them in a nice restaurant. Daniel watched her carefully. Because I want you to meet them in their home. I want you to see where I was helped. Vanessa took a slow breath and smiled again. Of course, darling. Anything for you. I love your humble side. It is one of the things I admire. The words were sweet, but Daniel saw something else behind her eyes. Annoyance. Discomfort. Pride trying to hide behind beauty. Thank you, he said. But Daniel, she added, please make sure the place is not too rough. You know my skin reacts badly to dust. Daniel nodded without speaking. On Saturday morning, Daniel did something Vanessa did not expect. Instead of the full convoy, he asked the driver to bring only one simple SUV. No escort vehicles. No police sirens. No personal assistant. No videographer. No luxury announcement. When Vanessa came out of her apartment and saw the car, she frowned. Where is the Rolls-Royce? Not today, Daniel said. The road gets rough near the village. This one is better. She looked at the vehicle as if it had insulted her. Daniel, people will see us. In the village? Anywhere. You are Chief Daniel Okafor. Image matters. Daniel opened the door for her. Character matters more. She laughed lightly. There you go again with your proverbs. The journey began with city noise, tall buildings, traffic, horns, and billboards of smiling politicians. Vanessa spent the first hour on her phone, sending voice notes to wedding planners. She complained about flowers. She complained about the color of the bridesmaids' dresses. She complained that the cake designer did not understand class. Then the city began to fade. The road narrowed. The tar became broken. The buildings became smaller. Palm trees appeared like old guardians beside the road. Women carried firewood on their heads. Children waved at passing cars. Goats crossed without hurry. Red dust rose behind the SUV like smoke. Vanessa pressed a handkerchief to her nose. How much longer? About 40 minutes, Daniel replied. 40? Daniel, this is far. Do these people not have phones? We could have sent money. Some things cannot be done by transfer. She rolled her eyes when she thought he was not looking. Daniel saw it in the side mirror. The driver Musa kept his face straight. He had worked for Daniel long enough to know when silence was wisdom. As they entered Umuod, the village changed the air around them. Smoke from cooking fires drifted lazily. The smell of roasted corn mixed with wet earth. Old men sat under an udala tree, discussing politics and palm wine. Children chased a worn football across the red road. Somewhere, a rooster crowed as if announcing visitors. Daniel's heart tightened with memory. He had arrived in this village once as a dying stranger. Now he returned as a rich man testing the woman who wanted to share his name. Mama Nena's compound stood at the edge of the village. It was small and humble. The walls were old. The roof had been repaired many times. There was a mango tree near the entrance and a wooden bench under it. A clay pot sat beside the door. Clothes hung on a rope. Smoke rose from the kitchen hut. To Daniel it looked like a place of grace. To Vanessa it looked like humiliation. She removed her sunglasses slowly. Her lips parted in disbelief. Daniel, she whispered, please tell me this is not the place. Daniel turned to her. This is the place. You brought me here? Yes. She stared at the cracked wall, the dusty compound, the barefoot children peeping from behind the doorway. For what exactly? Before Daniel could answer, an old woman came out of the house. Mama Nena was smaller than Daniel remembered, her back slightly bent, her wrapper faded from many washings. But her eyes were bright. The moment she saw Daniel, her face opened like sunrise. My son. My son has come. Daniel hurried forward and knelt before her. Vanessa's mouth opened. Chief Daniel Okafor, the man governors greeted with respect, was kneeling in the dust before a poor village woman. Mama Nena placed both hands on his head. May the God who lifted you never allow pride to steal your soul. May your enemies see you and remember that God is not asleep. Daniel closed his eyes. Amen, Mama. Then Mama Nena turned to Vanessa with joy. Ah, this must be our wife. My daughter, welcome. You are beautiful. Come, let me embrace you. Vanessa stepped back so quickly it looked like fear. The old woman's arms paused in the. Vanessa forced a smile. Good afternoon, Ma. Mama Nena lowered her arms but kept smiling. Good afternoon, my daughter. You are welcome to our small home. Thank you, Vanessa said, looking down at the ground as if searching for a clean place to stand. Daniel noticed. So did Mama Nena. But the old woman said nothing. A little girl of about 7 ran out next. Her name was Adana. She had big eyes, thin legs, and a smile too innocent to fear rejection. She carried a small bunch of wild flowers tied with grass. Auntie, welcome, the child said, offering the flowers. Grandma said you were going to marry Uncle Daniel. I picked this for you. Vanessa looked at the flowers. They were uneven, dusty, and beautiful in the way only a child's gift can be beautiful. For one moment, Daniel hoped. Vanessa smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. She touched the flowers with 2 fingers as if they were dirty. Thank you. Just keep them somewhere. The child's smile faded a little. They are for you. I said keep them, Vanessa replied, still smiling for Daniel's sake. Adana looked confused. Daniel bent down and took the flowers. They are beautiful. Thank you, my princess. The child smiled again and ran inside. Vanessa whispered, Daniel, that child needs a bath. Daniel looked at her. She needs kindness first. Vanessa pressed her lips together. Mama Nena invited them inside. The sitting room was small. There were plastic chairs, a wooden table, family photographs on the wall, and a Bible with pages worn soft from use. The floor was swept clean though it was old. A fan stood in the corner, but electricity in the village came and went like a visitor with no promise. Vanessa sat at the edge of the chair. She held her handbag tightly on her lap. Her eyes moved around the room, judging everything. Mama Nena called out, Amaka. Bring water for our visitors. A young woman came in carrying a tray with cups. She was Mama Nena's daughter, the same girl who had fanned Daniel through fever many years ago. Time had changed her. She was now a mother with tired eyes and strong hands. But when she saw Daniel, she smiled with true affection. Brother Daniel, welcome. Daniel stood and hugged her. Amaka, you look well. We thank God. Vanessa watched the hug with suspicion, as if kindness between poor and rich people must always hide something. Amaka offered water. Daniel took a cup and drank. Vanessa looked into her cup. Is this bottled water? Amaka paused. It is clean water, Ma. We boiled it this morning and let it cool. Vanessa placed the cup back on the tray. I only drink bottled water. The room became quiet. Daniel felt the first sharp pain of disappointment. Mama Nena quickly said, No problem, my daughter. Emeka can buy bottled water from the shop. Vanessa smiled like a queen granting mercy. Please. My stomach is sensitive. Emeka, Mama Nena's son, entered then. One of his legs was slightly stiff from an old accident, but his face carried dignity. Daniel had helped pay for part of his treatment years earlier, though Emeka still limped when tired. Chief, Emeka greeted warmly. My brother, Daniel said, embracing him. Vanessa looked away. Emeka took money from his pocket and limped toward the door to buy bottled water. Daniel almost stopped him, but he wanted to see how far Vanessa would go. He watched her face. There was no shame there. Only irritation that the water had not already been suitable for her. The first crack had appeared. But worse was coming. After some time, Mama Nena announced that food was ready. She had prepared pounded yam, egusi soup, roasted plantain and palm oil stew. It was the best she could offer. Daniel knew she had probably woken before sunrise to cook. In poor homes, welcoming a guest is not a small thing. It is sacrifice. It is honor. It is love served in a plate. They moved to a small table outside under the mango tree because the breeze was better there. The children gathered at a distance, shy but excited. Adana still held the flowers Daniel had accepted. Her little brother, Keen, watched Vanessa with wide eyes. He had never seen someone dressed so beautifully in their compound. Mama Nena washed her hands and said, "My daughter Vanessa, please eat. We cooked with joy because our son is bringing his wife home." Vanessa looked at the food. The pounded yam was smooth. The soup smelled rich. The plates were clean but old. A fly passed near the table and she flinched dramatically. "Thank you, Ma," she said. "But I am not hungry." Daniel looked at her. "You have not eaten since morning." "I said I am not hungry." Mama Nena nodded, though disappointment passed over her face. "It is all right. You can take some later." Daniel broke a piece of pounded yam and dipped it into the soup. "This tastes like my healing days," he said softly. "Mama, your hand has not changed." Mama Nena laughed. "My son, hunger makes every food sweet." "No," Daniel said. "Love makes it sweet." The old woman smiled. Vanessa shifted in her chair. Keen, the little boy, picked up a small plastic cup and filled it from the bottle Emeka had bought. He carried it carefully to Vanessa with both hands. "Auntie, drink water," he said. The boy's shirt was torn at the shoulder. His hands had dust on them from playing. But the cup was clean. He held it like an offering. Vanessa stared at him. "Who told you to touch my water?" she snapped. The boy froze. "I only wanted to give you," he whispered. "With those hands?" Vanessa said louder now. "Look at your nails. Dirty children everywhere." "Daniel, please, this is exactly what I was saying. These people do not understand hygiene." The cup slipped from Keen's hand and fell. Water spilled into the dust. The child stepped back, his eyes filling with tears. Mama Nena stood quickly. "Keen, come here." "It is okay." But Vanessa was not done. "No, Mama, it is not okay," she said, her voice rising. "You people should teach children manners. You cannot just allow them to touch things belonging to guests. In the city, this is not acceptable." Daniel placed his food down. The compound became silent except for the sound of leaves moving in the wind. Adana began to cry quietly. Amaka picked up the cup and looked away, humiliated in her own home. Daniel's voice was low. "Vanessa, he is a child." "A dirty child," Vanessa said before she could stop herself. Mama Nena closed her eyes. Something inside Daniel went cold. He had seen pride before. He had seen discomfort. He had seen rich people who did not know how to behave among the poor. But what he saw now was not ignorance. It was cruelty. Vanessa seemed to realize she had gone too far. She smiled quickly and touched Daniel's arm. "Darling, do not misunderstand me. I just care about cleanliness. You know how infections spread." Daniel removed his arm gently. "There is a way to correct a child without breaking his spirit," he said. Vanessa's face hardened. "Daniel, please do not embarrass me because of village children." Mama Nena spoke then, her voice calm but heavy. "My daughter, poverty is not a disease. A poor child can wash his hands. A rich heart can still be dirty." Vanessa turned to her slowly. "Excuse me?" Daniel looked at Mama Nena with respect. The old woman had spoken truth, but Vanessa heard insult. "I did not come here to be insulted by people who should be grateful we even visited," Vanessa said. Emeka stood. "Madam, nobody is insulting you. This is our home. We welcomed you with respect." "Your home." Vanessa laughed once, bitter and sharp. "Please. Daniel, can we go? I have tried. I really have. But this place is too much. The smell, the flies, the children, the poverty. I cannot." The words fell one by one like stones. Daniel did not move. Vanessa leaned close and lowered her voice, but not enough. Everyone still heard. These are the kinds of people who drain successful men. You help them today, tomorrow they bring cousins, uncles, village problems, hospital bills, school fees. Poor people are endless. They are useless to your future, Daniel. Useless. The word entered the compound like a curse. Useless. Mama Nena, the woman who sold cassava to buy medicine for Daniel when he was dying. Useless. Emeka, who walked miles with a feverish stranger on his back to find a nurse. Useless. Amaka, who stayed awake fanning Daniel's burning body when mosquitoes filled the room. Useless. Little Keen, who only wanted to offer water. Daniel stood slowly. For a moment, everyone thought he would shout. But Daniel did not shout. His anger was too deep for noise. Vanessa, he said quietly, let us take a walk. She picked up her handbag with relief. Finally. Daniel turned to Mama Nena. Mama, please excuse us. The old woman nodded, but her eyes were sad. Daniel and Vanessa walked beyond the mango tree toward the narrow path that led to the cassava farm. The afternoon sun was hot. Grasshoppers jumped through the grass. Far away, a woman sang while washing clothes by the stream. When they were far enough from the compound, Vanessa exploded. Daniel, what was that? Why did you bring me here? Are you trying to punish me? Is this some kind of lesson? Daniel faced her. I wanted you to meet people who matter to me. They matter to you because you are sentimental. That is your problem. You attach emotions to everything. Look around you. This is poverty. This is backwardness. You are a billionaire. You should be moving with kings, not kneeling before old women in broken houses. Daniel's jaw tightened. Vanessa continued, when I become your wife, things will change. I will not allow every poor person from your past to enter our home. We must protect your status. People respect you because you are above them. Stop lowering yourself. Daniel studied her face. She was beautiful. The sun touched her skin. Her ring shone on her finger. But suddenly, all he could see was emptiness wrapped in elegance. And if I lost everything? He asked. Vanessa blinked. What? If one day the money disappeared? If the cars, the houses, the company, the accounts, everything disappeared? Would you still respect me? She laughed nervously. Why are you asking such a foolish question? You will not lose everything. Answer me. Daniel, poverty is not romantic. I did not suffer all my life to marry suffering. I love you, but let us be realistic. A man must provide. So if I became poor, you would leave. I did not say that. You did not need to. Vanessa folded her arms. I know my worth. I cannot marry a man who chooses poor people over his future wife. Daniel looked back at the compound. From where he stood, he could see Mama Nena sitting under the mango tree, comforting Keen. The boy's small shoulders shook as he cried. Daniel remembered himself at 21, shaking with fever on that same compound floor. He remembered waking up to Mama Nena's voice praying over him. He remembered Amaka wiping his face with a damp cloth. He remembered little Chisholm giving him water and how that water tasted like life. He turned back to Vanessa. Thank you, he said. She frowned. For what? For answering a question I was afraid to ask. Vanessa did not understand. Daniel walked back without another word. When they returned to the compound, Mama Nena rose. She had wrapped Keen in her arms. Adana stood beside her, still holding the flowers. Daniel went to the children first. He knelt before Keen. My boy, I am sorry. You did nothing wrong. A child who offers water offers life. Never be ashamed of kindness. Keen wiped his face. I only wanted Auntie to like us. Daniel's voice broke slightly. I know. And God saw your heart. He hugged the boy. Vanessa stood near the car, uncomfortable. For the first time, she looked less like a queen and more like a woman who feared she had stepped into a trap. Mama Nena touched Daniel's shoulder. My son, do not be angry. When people have not tasted hunger, they think the hungry are lazy. Daniel looked at her. Mama, You still defend people who hurt you. She smiled sadly. If we throw away mercy because of pain, then pain has won. Those words nearly broke him. He wanted to reveal everything at once. He wanted to tell Vanessa, right there in the dust, that the poor family she called useless had saved his life, and without them, there would be no billionaire for her to marry. But something stopped him. The lesson needed witnesses. Not for revenge but for truth. Vanessa had humiliated them in private. Daniel would honor them in public. So he controlled himself. He thanked Mama Nena. He promised to return soon. Then he led Vanessa to the car. The journey back to Lagos was heavy with silence. Vanessa tried to speak several times, but Daniel kept looking out the window. After an hour she said, "Daniel, I hope you are not making this bigger than it is." I was uncomfortable. Anyone would be. You cannot expect me to behave like I grew up in a village. Daniel said nothing. And that child? I did not insult him. I only corrected him. Children must learn boundaries. Still Daniel said nothing. Daniel, talk to me. He turned at last. What do you want me to say? Say you understand. He looked at her for a long moment. I understand more than you think. Vanessa relaxed slightly, believing she had won. But Daniel's mind was already moving toward the final test. The next day was Sunday. Vanessa expected Daniel to apologize or send flowers. Instead, he called his lawyer, his assistant, and Auntie Beezy to his private study. On the table before them, Daniel placed a brown envelope. Inside were old photographs. One showed a young, thin Daniel lying on a mat in Mama Nena's house. Another showed Mama Nena standing beside him when he first returned after becoming successful. Another showed Emeka, Amaka, and the children during a quiet Christmas visit Daniel had made years before. There were also hospital receipts from the time Mama Nena bought medicine. There was a handwritten note Daniel had kept for 20 years. It was from Mama Nena, written when he first sent money after his business succeeded. It said, "My son Daniel, we did not help you because you would become rich. We helped you because life is life. Remember God. Remember people." Daniel's lawyer, Barrister Kalu, read the note and shook his head. "Chief, what do you want us to do?" Daniel said, "The wedding is in 3 weeks. Cancel all luxury expenses that can still be canceled. Recover what we can. Everything else I will cover personally. I want the total amount that would have been spent on the reception, decorations, celebrity performance, and extra events moved into a family trust for Mama Nena's household." Auntie Beezy covered her mouth. Barrister Kalu looked up. "Chief, are you canceling the wedding?" Daniel's voice was quiet. "Not yet publicly. But in my heart it ended yesterday." His assistant, Tund, hesitated. "Sir, Vanessa's family will react. The society pages will explode." Daniel leaned back. "Let them. It is better for society pages to laugh at me for 1 week than for my home to cry for a lifetime." Auntie Beezy nodded. "You have chosen peace." Daniel looked at her. "No. I have chosen truth. Peace will come later." He then gave another instruction. "This coming Friday we were supposed to host the final family dinner before the wedding. I want Mama Nena and her family brought to Lagos as honored guests. Send a good vehicle. Buy clothes for them if they accept, but do not force them. Arrange accommodation." And Tund, "Yes, sir. Let Vanessa believe it is only a charity presentation I am adding to the dinner. I want her there. I want both families there. I want the elders there." Barrister Kalu adjusted his glasses. "Chief, that will be a serious confrontation." Daniel looked at the old photographs. Some truths must be spoken where lies have dressed themselves in aso-ebi. Friday arrived like a storm wearing perfume. The dinner was held in one of Daniel's event halls in Lagos. It was not the main wedding reception, but it still looked grand. Chandeliers shone from the ceiling. Round tables were covered with white cloth. Flowers stood in tall glass vases. Soft music floated through the air. Guests arrived in expensive clothes, smiling, laughing, greeting, taking pictures. Vanessa came late as usual, because she wanted people to notice her entrance. She wore a red gown that glittered under the lights. Her makeup was perfect. Her hair fell over her shoulders. The engagement ring shone on her finger like a small sun. Her mother whispered, "My daughter, tonight you must shine. These people should know Daniel is marrying class." Vanessa smiled. They already know. She saw Daniel across the hall. He was speaking with elders. He looked calm, almost too calm. She walked to him and kissed his cheek. "Darling, you have been distant all week," she said softly. "I hope you are done with your village mood." Daniel looked at her. "Tonight will settle everything." She smiled, not understanding. "Good." Guests took their seats. Daniel's family members were present. Vanessa's parents sat proudly near the front. Business partners, church elders, close friends, and a few community leaders filled the hall. Everyone expected a celebration. Some expected speeches about love. Some expected jokes about marriage. Nobody expected a lesson that would shake the room. Then the doors opened. Mama Nena entered with her family. The hall did not go silent immediately. At first, people turned casually. Then they looked again. Mama Nena wore a simple blue wrapper and blouse. It was new but modest. Her head tie was tied carefully by Emeka, who walked beside her. Emeka came behind them, limping slightly but standing tall. Adana and Keen held hands. The children looked nervous in their new clothes. Daniel walked straight to them. In front of everyone, he bowed and took Mama Nena's hands. "Mama, welcome," he said. A murmur moved through the hall. Vanessa's smile disappeared. Her mother leaned toward her. "Who are those people?" Vanessa's jaw tightened. "The village family. I thought we were done with them." Daniel led Mama Nena to the front table, the table reserved for honored elders. Some guests looked confused. Some whispered. But Daniel did not explain yet. Vanessa rose quickly and went to him near the side of the hall. "Daniel," she said through clenched teeth, "what are they doing here?" "They are my guests." "At our family dinner?" "Yes." "You should have told me." "Would you have welcomed them?" She looked away. "That is not the point." "It is exactly the point." Before she could answer, the master of ceremonies called everyone to attention. He welcomed both families, praised the coming wedding, and invited Chief Daniel Okafor to speak. Applause filled the hall. Daniel stood. He adjusted the microphone and looked around. His eyes moved from his own relatives to Vanessa's family, from his business partners to the village family seated quietly at the front. Finally, his gaze rested on Vanessa. "Good evening, everyone," he began. The hall answered warmly. "Thank you for coming. Many of you believe tonight is a celebration before my wedding. In a way it is. But it is also something else. Tonight is a night of truth." The hall became quieter. Vanessa shifted in her chair. Daniel continued, "Many years ago, before most of you knew my name, I was a poor young man with nothing but dreams and stubborn hope. I traveled through a village called Umuod looking for help. Instead of help, I found trouble. Robbers attacked the bus I entered. I ran into the bush. Fever caught me. Hunger weakened me. I collapsed near a stream and almost died." Guests leaned forward. Daniel pointed gently toward Mama Nena. "This woman found me." The hall turned. Mama Nena lowered her eyes. "She did not know me. I was not rich. I had no company. I had no title. I was not Chief Daniel Okafor. I was just a dying stranger. But she called her children. They carried me into their poorhouse. They gave me their mat. They sold food to buy medicine. They prayed for me. They fed me. They saved my life." A heavy silence fell. Vanessa's face changed. Daniel's voice grew thicker. "If Mama Nena had looked at me the way many people look at the poor, I would not be standing here. If Emeka had said, 'This stranger is useless,' I would have died. If Amaka had said, 'This man is dirty,' she would not have stayed awake wiping my face. If their little child had refused me water, my story would have ended before it began." Mama Nena wiped her eyes with the edge of her wrapper. Daniel paused. Last Saturday I took my fiancée to meet them. I wanted the woman who would share my name to meet the people who helped me carry that name into the future. I wanted her to see the ground where grace found me. Vanessa stood suddenly. Daniel, please. He did not look away. Sit down, Vanessa. I allowed you to speak in their home. Tonight, truth will speak in mine. A gasp moved through the hall. Vanessa slowly sat her down. Daniel continued, in that compound a little boy offered water. He was called dirty. Food prepared with sacrifice was rejected with disgust. A family that saved my life was called useless. Vanessa's father turned sharply toward his daughter. Her mother covered her mouth. Daniel did not raise his voice. That made the words heavier. I'm not saying this to shame poverty. Poverty has already suffered enough shame from the world. I'm saying it because cruelty must not be dressed as class. Pride must not be mistaken for standards. Beauty must not be allowed to hide a heart that cannot bend. Vanessa began to cry, but Daniel knew those tears. They were not yet repentance. They were fear. Daniel, she whispered, I made a mistake. He looked at her gently. No, Vanessa. You revealed a pattern. A mistake is when your foot slips. Character is where your heart chooses to stand. The hall was completely still. Daniel removed the engagement ring box from his pocket. It was the box from the day he proposed, the one Vanessa had kept for pictures. He placed it on the table before him. I have prayed. I have thought. I have remembered my mother's words. And I have decided that I cannot build a home with a woman who sees poor people as waste. I cannot marry a woman who would insult the hands that once fed me. I cannot give my future children a mother who teaches them to measure human beings by money. Vanessa stood again, trembling. Daniel, don't do this. Please. Not here. He looked at her with sadness, not hatred. The wedding is cancelled. The words landed like thunder. Someone shouted softly, Jesus. Vanessa's mother cried out. Her father bowed his head in shame. Guests whispered. Phones remained lowered because even gossip knew the moment was too serious to treat like entertainment. Vanessa rushed toward Daniel. Please, I was angry. I was uncomfortable. I can change. Daniel, I love you. Daniel stepped back. Love without humility becomes ownership. Love without compassion becomes danger. I forgive you, but I will not marry you. She reached for his hand. What will people say? Daniel's eyes filled with pain. That is still your question. Not, who did I hurt? Not, how do I make it right? Your first fear is what people will say. That is why I know my decision is right. Vanessa froze. Daniel turned to the audience. The money set aside for the luxury reception, the celebrity performance, the imported flowers, and the unnecessary display will be used differently. Tonight, I am establishing the Nena Family Trust. Mama Nena will receive a new home in Umuod, built where she chooses. Emika's medical treatment will be completed abroad if doctors recommend it. Amaka's children will receive full scholarships. A clean water project will be built in their village. And a small clinic will be renovated in honor of every poor person who has ever saved a life without asking for payment. For a moment, the hall was silent. Then the applause rose slowly, not like ordinary applause at a party, but like people waking up from a deep sleep. Some stood. Some wiped tears. Some looked ashamed because they remembered the way they had spoken to poor people in their own lives. Mama Nena stood with trembling hands. Daniel brought the microphone to her, but she did not speak like a woman who had become important overnight. She spoke like a mother. My son, she said, we did not save you because you would become rich. We saved you because life is life. May your home never lack mercy. May God remove from your path anyone who loves your table but hates your scars. The hall answered, Amen. Little Keen came forward holding a cup of water. His steps were shy, but his eyes were no longer afraid. He lifted the cup to Daniel and said, Uncle, drink. Daniel knelt in his expensive suit and received the cup with both hands. This time nobody called the child dirty. This time the room clapped for him. Vanessa broke down and wept. She went to Mama Nena and knelt, asking for forgiveness. The old woman placed a hand on her head and said, "Sorry is a seed. It must grow into behavior before it becomes fruit. May God teach you to see people, not clothes, not houses, not money, but people." Daniel forgave Vanessa, but his decision did not change. Forgiveness can clean the heart, but wisdom must still guard the future. He did not hate her. He simply refused to build a home with a woman who had not yet learned how to honor human dignity. The wedding was cancelled. The news traveled through Lagos, but Daniel did not chase gossip. He traveled back to Umuod with builders, doctors, and engineers. A new house was built for Mama Nena. Emeka received treatment for his leg. Amaka opened a small food business. Adana and Keen received scholarships. A borehole was drilled in the village square, and clean water began to flow for everyone. When Mama Nena saw the water, she whispered, "Look at what one cup has become." Daniel answered, "No, Mama. Look at what one act of kindness has become." Years later, people still told the story of the billionaire who tested his fiancée with a poor family. Some told it as gossip, but wise people told it as a warning. Money can test loyalty, but poverty tests character. Anyone can smile at a billionaire. Anyone can respect a governor. Anyone can greet a chairman when cameras are watching. But the person who comforts the hungry child, honors the old woman in a faded wrapper, and receives humble food with gratitude carries wealth no bank can hold. So remember this. Do not choose a partner only because they look good beside you in pictures. Choose someone who still looks human beside people the world ignores. Do not marry beauty if beauty has no mercy. Do not marry wealth if wealth has no humility. And never despise a poor home, because sometimes the prayer that keeps you alive comes from a room with cracked walls. When life lifts you, do not forget the ground. The poor family you mock today may be the reason for the blessing you enjoy tomorrow. The person you reject because they have nothing may be the person heaven sent to reveal who you truly are. Kindness is never wasted. It may begin as a cup of water, a plate of food, a mat on the floor, or a prayer from an old woman. But when God decides to reward kindness, even billionaires will kneel in the dust to say thank you. The end.